Assalamu alaikum, friends. For those of you who haven't heard of plov, it's less exotic than it sounds. Think of it more like risotto meets fried rice. And as an added bonus, you can make this dish in one pot, so you know, less shit to clean up. Plov is the culinary pride and joy of Central Asia. And for those of you bad at geography, no, Central Asia does not mean
China.
Central Asia consists of 5 countries: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan. These stan countries act as a bridge between Europe and the Far East, and were a vital part of the Silk Road. It's kind of a shame that the only cultural connection with this region you might have is Borat. And as funny as that movie is, it's, you know, still a British Jew speaking broken Polish, filmed in Romania, so...
Jak się masz? My name is Borat. I like sex.
Not super accurate. In reality, Central Asia is a culturally and geographically diverse region with some of the most beautiful examples of natural landscapes and architecture on Earth.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
And while plov is adored in all of Central Asia, no country is considered more in love with this dish than Uzbekistan. Their respect and pride in making plov is unrivaled. So we'll be following their recipe when we make plov today. So brew up some tea and pour yourself a cup, because I'm going to teach you how to make plov. For plov you will need rice, carrots, meat, onions, a neutral cooking oil, tomatoes, whole cumin seeds, garlic, and fresh chili peppers. Optionally, you can add raisins, chickpeas, hard-boiled quail eggs, or fatty sausage. While exact ingredient amounts are more dependent on your cooking vessel than the recipe, you basically want to follow the plov golden ratio of 1:1. Plov should be made with an equal ratio of carrots, meat, and rice to make sure that the dish ends up at the right balance. Traditionally, the rice used in this dish is called gevzira, but any long grain rice will do. Basmati is a good stand-in, but feel free to experiment. The meat you can use depends entirely on taste. While pork is not kosher, you can still use it if you like. I'm using beef, but traditionally, lamb or mutton is used in Central Asia, with horse meat being quite common in the north.
What?
Another important aspect of plov is the cooking vessel. Any thick, wide pot will do. The bigger the better. But usually, a large wok-like cast iron pan called a kazan is used, over a roaring direct flame. This actually makes plov a great dish to make while camping. First things first, you want to soak your rice in warm salt water, about 60 degrees Celsius or 140 Fahrenheit. This helps to hydrate the rice before cooking and remove the starch on the outside. Mix and let sit for an hour to an hour and a half. You want to clean and cut your veggies and meat. Here I made the mistake of cutting the carrots way too thick. You want them to be somewhere between a matchstick and a McDonald's French fry. The meat should be bite-sized, and the onions should be cut into quite large pieces since they will basically be obliterated in the cooking process. In about a centimeter of screaming hot oil, add your meat. I think the next time I cook this, I'll caramelize the onions first, just to get more umami flavor and color out of them. I crowded the pan a little bit too much. If you can, use a wider pot than the one I have so you'll get more surface area to work with. Let cook without moving so that they can char a bit on one side. If you decide not to caramelize your onions before cooking the meat, add them to the pot once the meat has colored a bit and built up a bit of a crust. Then mix. Try and expose them to the hot surface of the pan as much as possible, just to help with coloring. As I began adding carrots, the slow and painful realization that my pot was too small to meet my plov aspirations began to dawn on me. I mean, how could I fit all of this into a single container? Could it handle it all? Did I use too much meat? But, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. With your carrots sweating, add cumin seeds. You can rough them up a bit in a mortar and pestle to help release some of their flavor, but keep them whole. A couple hearty pinches should do the trick. If you have access to young, stem-on garlic, use those for plov, as it makes it easier to remove them later on. If not, don't worry. But for easy cleaning, cut the root off the bottom, but leave the rest of the husk on. Check that your carrots have sufficiently sweated. They should be slightly floppy now, and you should start smelling the aroma of cumin mixing with meat and onion. Now add enough boiling water to the plov to cover what you imagine the rice level will be. The water must be super hot, otherwise you might shock the carrots and turn them into mush. Now add your fresh, whole peppers, just for a hint of heat, and your garlic. Reduce the heat down to a low and steady simmer and let sit for 40 minutes to an hour and a half. This will help build flavors and make a sort of stock called zirvak for the rice to soak up. Once simmered, check for flavor and seasoning. Salt is needed. And if you want, now is the time to add raisins and cooked chickpeas. I rather like chickpeas, the texture's a nice addition, but the raisins add a pop of sweetness I don't like in plov. Before you add your rice, make sure you thoroughly and gently rinse off the rice until the water runs clear. You want to remove any excess starch from the rice, otherwise your plov could have a horrific gummy texture. Bring your stock back to a boil while you do this. Plumped, hydrated, and cleaned, your rice is now ready to take the plunge. Now gently add the rice to the stock. Careful to lay the rice on the top layer of meat and veg. It will boil and then steam, all sitting on a raft of goodness below. So carefully add the rice in an even layer. If your garlic is without the handy handles, you might want to take them out now, so it doesn't boil down to baby food. Make sure that your rice is evenly distributed and totally submerged. If you need to add additional water, pour it through a strainer or against a spatula. You don't want to disturb the layer of rice with your violent water pouring. To help the rice cook evenly, gently mix the top layer, bringing the rice on the edges into the center and the rice in the center out to the edges. But be sure not to go too deep. If you see carrots, you've gone too far. Remove the garlic and pepper. Some people add holes into the rice layer using the handle of a spatula, but mine was cooking down fine, so I didn't need it. Reduce heat down to a simmer. Since plov is such a dense and fatty dish, it needs something to lighten things up. A chichuk is a tomato and onion salad that is typically served with plov. Thickly slice some tomatoes and onions, and if you want, add cucumbers. Then salt, pepper, and if you like just a little bit of heat, add just a dash of chili flakes.
God damn it!
Or, you know, open the wrong side of the pepper shaker and just bury your salad in red pepper flakes. Actually, still good though. Once the water level has been reduced down to about a third, pull the rice away from the sides of the pot and shape it into a mound. This will help evaporate excess water while steaming the rice. Let sit until done. Then mix your plov and reshape into another beautiful mound of ricey goodness. Cover with a lidded jar to help in the final steaming.
Wow, it's very nice.
Before final plating, gently squeeze the cooked garlic out of the husk. Add these to your plov for an amazing pop of mild and beautiful garlic flavor. In just a few hours, you've made a hearty and super filling dish that can easily feed a small army. I really feel like the salad is a must with this dish just due to how heavy plov is on its own. Serve with tea or your fermented dairy beverage of choice to wash down your Uzbek feast. I garnished mine with boiled quail eggs, you can too, or any fatty sausage that you like. The hearty and earthy flavors of the meat and cumin mix so beautifully with the perfectly cooked rice that has soaked up all of that beautiful stock. The pepper from the stock is also great to incorporate into the meal for small, vibrant bursts of heat and spice. The garlic has become soft and mild with an excellent creamy texture that pairs so well with the meat. And the salad gives some levity to this heavy affair with the cooling and fresh flavors of ripe tomato and onion. So there you have it, folks. The beautiful and beloved Uzbek Plov made in under 3 hours using a very short list of ingredients in a single pot. I really think that this is one that should be tried at home. Till next time, eat well, friends.
Happy end!